Have you ever had a day so bad that you just wanted to crawl into bed and give up? The kind of day where everything seems to fall apart? The phone call you weren't expecting? The betrayal you didn't see coming? The disappointment that crushed your heart? We've all had worst days. But here's the hope. With God, your worst day can become the very day He reveals His greatest power. Today, we're going to look at how God turns pain into purpose, despair into hope, and defeat into victory. 1. God's presence in your worst day. Psalm 46:1. God is our refuge and strength, an ever-present help in trouble. On your worst day, you may feel alone, but God is never absent. He's not distant, watching from afar. He's right there, holding you when you can't hold yourself. Sometimes His presence doesn't change the situation immediately, but it changes you in the situation. 2. God can turn mourning into dancing. Psalm 30:11. You turned my wailing into dancing. You removed my sackcloth and clothed me with joy. David knew the pain of hiding in caves, running for his life, and being betrayed by people close to him. Yet he saw God turn his worst days into testimonies of joy. What you call a breakdown, God can call a breakthrough. 3. Joseph's worst day was a setup for destiny. Genesis 50:20. You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good, to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives. Joseph's worst days included betrayal, slavery, false accusations, and prison. But each step of pain was positioning him for God's greater plan. Lesson: don't judge the story by the middle of the chapter. God's ending is always better. 4. God turns defeat into victory. Romans 8:37. No, in all these things we are more than conquerors through Him who loved us. Your worst day may feel like defeat, but in Christ you are never a victim. Even when the enemy tries to destroy you, God declares you victorious. Victory is not the absence of battles. It's God's presence in the middle of them. 5. The cross was the world's worst day, but also the greatest victory. Think about it. The day Jesus was crucified looked like the darkest day in history. His disciples scattered. Hope seemed lost. Evil looked like it had won. But 3 days later, the cross became the symbol of salvation. John 16:33. In this world, you will have trouble, but take heart. I have overcome the world. If God could turn the crucifixion into resurrection, He can turn your worst day into a testimony of His power. 6. God renews strength in your weakest moments. Isaiah 40:31. But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint. On your worst day, you may feel like you've got nothing left, but God specializes in renewing weary souls. Your weakness is not the end, it's the place where God begins His strength. 7. Paul and Silas, singing at midnight. Acts 16:25-26. About midnight, Paul and Silas were praying and singing hymns to God, and the other prisoners were listening to them. Suddenly, there was such a violent earthquake that the foundations of the prison were shaken. In their darkest hour, beaten, chained, and jailed, they chose to worship, and God turned their prison into a place of freedom. Worship has the power to turn your worst night into a breakthrough morning. 8. God works all things for good. Romans 8:28. And we know that in all things, God works for the good of those who love Him, who have been called according to His purpose. Even the things you hate, regret, or don't understand, God weaves them into His greater plan. Your worst day may not feel good, but in God's hands, it will work together for good. Friend, you may feel crushed, broken, or hopeless today. But hear me, God's power is greater than your worst day. He can turn ashes into beauty, sorrow into joy, and defeat into victory. Lamentations 3:22-23. Because of the Lord's great love, we are not consumed, for His compassions never fail. They are new every morning. Great is your faithfulness. Your worst day doesn't define your life. God's power does, and He is writing a better ending for your story. If this message encouraged you, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who's walking through their worst day. Subscribe for more faith and mental health encouragement. And remember, with God, even your darkest day can become the beginning of your greatest testimony. Thanks for watching, and God bless.